Hello everyone, here's your weather hazard briefing for Thursday, December 15th. We've had some pretty good light snow across portions of central and eastern Idaho last night and early this morning. A lot of the widespread stuff is coming to an end, but at least through the weekend and in a Monday morning, some low clouds, some light snow and fog will be around. And a lot of that's going to be across the Snake Plain in the Magic Valley, down into the South Hills and Albion Mountains, the southeast and eastern highlands, especially in the lower elevations. Now, not everybody in those areas every day is going to see freezing fog or light snow. We may even see some clearing. Now, if we get some clearing in some of these valley locations, that's a little better potential for fog. So we're got a little bit of all of this going on in those areas through the weekend and the early part of next week. Now, the pattern is going to bring a better chance of snow starting early next week. It's still going to be colder, but we're seeing some changes. That means maybe the Arctic air is not really going to get down here, at least with this particular storm. We continue to watch cloud cover, at least mid and higher level cloud cover, sweeping off to the south and east. You can see once again when we see some of this bluish, grayish cloud cover on the satellite, that's where we have some lower cloud cover in place, and that's certainly the case over a good chunk of eastern and central Idaho this morning. And with this wave and this little bitty wave dropping in behind it, we talk about the cedar feeder process. Anywhere we see that, the ice from those higher clouds falls through the lower clouds and actually helps get the snow process going, that light snow process going. So you can see pretty much the matrix looks the same over the next 5 days. We do expect some of that light snow and freezing fog potential. Now, for tomorrow, the light snow potential's a little bit lower overall. That may change, but don't be surprised if some folks see a little bit of light snow or flurry activity across those areas. We're also watching for some patchy freezing fog at times up in the Stanley Basin. Saturday, Sunday, into Monday, there's a little bit of chance of the light snow under the stratus deck for the eastern highlands into the weekend and early part of next week. But like I said, anywhere we get the stratus, there's that light snow potential in place. And it does look like by Monday we start to see, especially up into portions of Limhi County, up around Lost Trail Pass and northern end of Limhi County, we see some light snow moving in, and also some light snow moving into the central mountains that could potentially impact the Stanley area. That's later in the day on Monday. So how are things looking for the rest of the day? And this is what we show a lot of times is what would radar look like? What would it look like if you filled up radar across the area today? You can see our main push of moisture starting to drop to the south into Utah this morning. There'll be some a little bit of moisture, a little bit of snow left over across the area, especially under any remaining stratus. Maybe a little better chance up down towards Burley into the Treasure Valley, but honestly, anywhere up and down the Snake Plain into the southern and eastern highlands, we get that stratus deck to remain with the next wave coming through. And you can see that wave dropping south for a little better chance of light snow in the higher elevations along the Wyoming border. Going into this evening and tonight, you can actually see, we've been talking about this low stratus and fog potential. You can see that trying to line up, especially even back towards the portions of the Treasure Valley into the Magic Valley and on up into the Snake Plain. You can see that pattern starting to show up if you were looking at radar. It doesn't mean it's snowing everywhere there. It doesn't mean that, we're getting a lot of moisture falling. It's just how things would look. And when we see this pattern in the models, that's when we start to key on that potential of that light snow, the patchy fog, and low stratus deck across the area. And this is going all the way into Friday. And this, like I said, Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night, and maybe not as much Monday morning, but certainly the case will be there for that to continue. Now, before we get back to more specific on the forecast, looking how this pattern is going to change, this is skipping ahead to Saturday, northwest flow over the region. And we've been talking about colder air moving in, and that's because there's an area of low pressure that's been in some of the models potentially shifting into the northern U.S., northern parts of Montana, the Idaho Panhandle, Washington, and then settling down into our area as we go into next week. Now, you'll notice that really is not looking like it's going to happen right away, if at all. And we've been talking about some of the models have been showing this low staying up to the north, but a lot of the data, a lot of the model runs, the temperatures were still pushing colder with the low coming in. Now we go into about Tuesday, it looks like that low is going to try to drop south.
but it's going into the plains, and that's where a lot of the data is pushing. A lot of these model runs are pushing that direction now. So that's giving us more confidence, especially once we get past Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, that we're going to see some warmer conditions moving into our area. And as we head towards the middle of next week, we are under northwest flow, pretty decent northwest flow, as a ridge is trying to build along the west coast. Now, is this a 100% guarantee still? No. There are some indications that low may try to sneak a little bit farther south before it heads east, which is something we're going to have to be watching over the next several days. And that's why a lot of times, we'll give you a forecast today and we tell you to stay abreast, pay attention, because the weather is fluid, and pattern changes like this, and when we're seeing some variability, sometimes it comes down to the 11th hour before we really know 100% what is going to happen. So for this morning, light snow mainly along and south of the Snake Plain, but honestly, anywhere we can get stratus hanging around today, we can get a little bit of light snow activity. It may be just a dusting of snow, but, there's nothing wrong with also saying there's a very low chance some places might pick up around an inch or just a little bit more with that. Temperatures for today, we're looking at teens and 20s over a good chunk of the area. We might still be looking at single digits up along the, if you're going up as high as Mount Boris, some of those elevations, also over into the Tetons for this afternoon. Now, for tomorrow, we're starting to see the colder air developing, and that's a signal at least that it's going to be maybe a little more clear. But when that happens, we get temperatures this cold, you immediately get that moisture condense, and you start seeing the fog and stratus and light snow flurry activity developing. So even though we're calling for that, it may still end up being minus 10 at the INL, but then all of a sudden you get all of that moisture to condense across the area. And otherwise, single digits above, some low teens above to teens below zero over our area. And for tomorrow afternoon, a lot more 20s showing up, low to mid-20s at least. It's a little bit colder than today, but still that temperature's there. But you'll notice we're starting to see some of those low teens sneaking in across the Snake Plain for tomorrow. Going into Saturday, you can see that potential continuing within a degree or two in some areas on Saturday. We've been talking about with that cold air, we thought we might not get out of the single digits over the Arco Desert. That's not necessarily looking like the case now, but we are looking at single digits in some of the higher elevations along the Montana border down into portions of the Central Mountains. Going into Sunday, maybe a little better potential on Sunday for right around 8 to 10 degrees over the Arco Desert. But still, you notice we're not really changing the temperatures too much as we get into the weekend. We start to warm up on Monday. We're going to skip ahead to Wednesday. Now, with that pattern change taking place, the change where it may not be as cold initially, or if at all, you'll notice we're pushing temperatures into the low to mid-30s, Pocatello, American Falls, down into the Magic and Treasure Valleys, down towards Malta, Oakley, those areas. The rest of the area is going to be in the teens and 20s. And if we do get above freezing in the middle of next week, it's not going to be for very long, for just maybe an hour or two late in the afternoon. That doesn't mean we're going to melt all the snow that's out there. That doesn't mean folks are necessarily going to lose their chance at a white Christmas. It just might mean that we might see a little bit of melting, but with the warmer temperatures coming in, that also means there is going to be moisture in the air, and it should be mostly snow. So we may lose a little bit of snow to melting, but we're also going to add a little bit of snow with what's coming through the middle part of next week, and potentially towards the end of next week as well. So, and then looking ahead, what's the weather going to look like on Christmas? We're not going to give you specifics on Christmas, but you notice temperatures trying to moderate, and when we say near normal, there's not really a trend of whether it's going to be colder or warmer than average around that 8 to 14-day period, but there is a trend towards a better chance of moisture, whether it's snow or a mix of rain and snow as we go into Christmas and into a couple of days beyond that in that 8 to 14-day outlook. So like I said, the widespread snow is ending today, but we're going to have some pockets of low clouds, freezing fog, and light snow all the way through Monday. We see more snow returning, but we've been talking about it getting colder. It's briefly going to get a little colder over the weekend, but not sticking around, and temperatures are going to be getting warmer as we head towards the middle part of next week. Have a great day, and do stay safe out there, everyone.